One of the things that's also a hallmark of Matthew's gospel is his belief that Jesus is the fulfillment and fulfiller of the prophecies of the Old Testament, and that he is the royal Messiah that Israel has been waiting for. And we hear that in chapter 11. In chapter 11, John the Baptist has been arrested, he's in prison, and he gets word from his disciples um, about what Jesus is doing. So he sends some of his followers to Jesus to ask him if he is the one who is to come or if they are to wait for another. And our verses for the day are chapter 11, verses 4 and 5. Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them." So this summary statement by Jesus is a way of him expressing to John the Baptist and to everyone who hears how he is showing the signs of the kingdom being at work in and through him. And this is what the church is to be doing as well, what Jesus did, right? And what are those signs? It's all these signs of healing for the blind, the lepers, the lame, the deaf. The dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. One of the things about the gospel of Jesus, however we preach it, however we live it, however we share it, it needs to be good news to the poor, or it's not the good news of Jesus. I'm very conscious of that in my preaching and teaching, that however we interpret a text or a passage, whatever we say about the Christian life, as we convey it to others, it needs to be good news to the poor, because that's what Jesus brought. He was concerned for people on the margins and the fringes of society. Many of the people who were poor, that included people who were widows, people who were at the bottom of the social ladder, and Jesus was concerned for, spent time with, and encouraged those people. And so that's part of our task as well. And we need to, as my wife Jill likes to say, share God's love in practical ways. And that's what we see Jesus doing throughout his ministry. And these are the signs that he pointed to for John the Baptist. And for poor John, who was kept up in prison, the end of his life very near in miserable conditions, think of the reassurance and the comfort that this brought him to know that Jesus is the one who he was waiting for, the one he proclaimed, his cousin who he's known throughout his life. And the two of them had such a unique role to play in God's salvation history for the whole world. I'm sure that was a comfort to John before he was martyred for all he had said and done.